Okay, hi everybody. My name is Kinsey Nyland, and today I'm going to be talking about the King Follett sermon. Okay, so the connection that the King Follett sermon has is to Unit 10, the Nauvoo unit. And I just want to start off with this little quote that Joseph said in the sermon. And it says, "If men do not comprehend the character of God, they do not comprehend themselves." I thought this was super interesting because I also learned that the sermon was centered around the question, what kind of being is God? And of course, some other things, but I thought this was a cool quote. I first found these two scholarly articles, the first one being from the Prophet's Final Charge to the 12, and then the Joseph Smith and Agency. So the one from the first quote on Sunday, April 7th, the prophet delivered his last general conference address in the East Grove, often called the King Follett Discourse. The death of King Follett on March 9th, 1844, nearly a month earlier, influenced its subject matter, the eternity of man. I want you to know the first principle of this law, the prophet stated, how consoling to the mourner when they part with a friend to know that though they lay down their body, it will rise and dwell, to be an heir of God and joint heir with Jesus Christ, enjoying the same rise, exaltation, and glory until you arrive at the station of the God. And then the next one, he explained this relationship between agency and the atonement in his King Follett Discourse. The salvation atonement of Jesus Christ was wrought out for all men in order to triumph over the devil. For if it did not catch him in one place, it would in another, for he stood up as a savior. All will suffer until they obey Christ himself. The prophet makes it clear that unless we exercise our agency to access the atonement, we will suffer. Then I found these two general conference talks, by Russell M. Nelson, Life After Life, and Dallin H. Oaks, Trust in the Lord, which say, yes, compounds derived from dust elements of the earth are combined to make each living cell in our bodies. The miracle of the resurrection is matched only by the miracle of our creation in the first place. No one knows precisely how two germ cells unite to make one, nor do we know how resulting cell multiplies and divides to make others, some to become eyes to see, ears to hear, and fingers that feel glorious things about us. Each cell contains chromosomes with thousands of genes, chemically ensuring identity and independence of each individual. Our bodies undergo constant rebuilding according to genetic recipes that are uniquely ours. Each time we take a bath, we lose not only dirt, but cells dead and dying as they are replaced by a newer crop. This process of regeneration and renewal is but prelude to the promised phenomenon and future fact of our resurrection. And by President Oakes, as to circumstances in the spirit world, the prophet Joseph Smith gave two teachings near the close of his ministry that have been frequently taught by his successors. One of these is his teaching in the King Follett sermon, that family members who are righteous will be together in the world of spirits. Another is a statement at a funeral in the last year of his life. The spirits of the just are exalted to a greater and more glorious work in the world of spirits. They are not far from us, and know and understand our thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and are often pained therewith. I thought these quotes were very interesting. They both talk, or a few of them talk about the resurrection, and then this last one talks about this higher exaltation, this greater power that we're going to be able to achieve, which are very important parts in the sermon. And then this quote from the Joseph Smith papers regarding the radical teachings in the King Follett's discourse. Smith declared that though he knew of their truth independently, he would prove them from the Bible as a concession to the Bible-denominated religious culture of the day. And since it definitely was a Bible-denominated religious culture back then, I thought it was interesting how Joseph Smith made it a point that he would prove to them these teachings from the Bible and not just from the Book of Mormon. Then I looked for D&C or two sections in D&C, and the first one is 76. For thus saith the Lord, I, the Lord, am merciful and gracious unto those who fear me, and delight to honor those who serve me in righteousness and in truth unto the end. Great shall be their reward, and eternal shall be their glory. And to them will I reveal all mysteries, yea, all the hidden mysteries of my kingdom from days of old and for ages to come. Will I make known unto them the good pleasure of my will concerning all things pertaining to my kingdom. Again, the topic of us receiving that eternal glory, and receiving God that he will reveal all the mysteries unto us. Then in D&C 138, And so it was made known among the dead, both small and great, the unrighteous as well as the faithful, that redemption had been wrought through the sacrifice of the Son of God upon the cross. Thus was it made known that our Redeemer spent his time during his sojourn in the world of spirits, instructing and preparing the faithful spirits of the prophets who had testified of him in the flesh, that they might carry the message of redemption unto all the dead, unto whom he could not go personally, because of their rebellion and just transgression, that they through the ministration of his servants might also hear his words. And I love this section as well, where it teaches that people in the spirit world who haven't had the opportunity to hear of the gospel, that they will be able to learn about the gospel in the spirit world after death. Two important concepts that I would like to point out is God was once like us and will become like him one day, and that the gospel will be preached to those who didn't have the opportunity or didn't follow Jesus Christ in this life, which I kind of talked about just right before. But also in concept one, as I thought was really neat, where this sermon really explained how God really was like us once, and that we will be able to inherit the power that he has and become like him one day. And then this is a personal application to me, because it's relevant as I have increased my testimony after learning this, and because my grandma has recently died, but she is up in heaven helping those who want to learn the gospel receive their opportunity to hear the gospel, which I thought was really neat. But yeah, that's the end of my presentation, and I loved learning about this topic.